My name is Beau Popejoy, and I've had the opportunity to work in the schools really my entire life. We're in the family business here in Fairbury, and have had a lot of experience, working in Chatsworth, Westview, Chenoa, in really all of them for a long time. So we're extremely grateful for that. And my perspective on the referendum has really been more fact-based than anything. The way that I look at it was more along the lines of the economic side of it, with what needs to be done, and not so much that is really what do we want, a 5-year plan or do we want a 50-year plan. And I think I started to raise a lot of questions just with the initial numbers, like Chatsworth, for example, and understanding that the work that we've had to do over there, and seeing initial estimates, like I think it was somewhere around $80,000 for they had in the renovation of the plumbing there, and instantly spiked my mind to think that's just not even close, to what I believe needs done over there. So we started to ask some critical questions like, what are we going to do about the cast iron under the floors that are going bad, the water lines that are going bad, the boiler lines that are leaking. We were just over there the other day, we're working on steam leaks and stuff underneath the floor. And it starts this cascade effect, really, is what happens, where, because I've had a lot of people ask me, well, why haven't we fixed this stuff? And it's really the accessible stuff has been worked on, but we're starting to get into the inaccessible stuff, which is below the concrete. And it's all hitting its lifespan. It's all extremely old, starting to have issues. And we're getting to the point here where we need to really make some decisions. But the cascade effect started with some of the under the floor work that was just not in the initial numbers. The initial numbers didn't have a lot in there, so when we started to ask questions, it really started to cascade from there. So you get into the flooring. Well, the flooring is asbestos. That's all going to have to be abated before we can even get into anything below the floor. This is a longer term project too, so this isn't something that we go in just in over a summer and fix. This is a long-term shutdown, and I think that's why we're to that point where we really need to make a decision now. So what are we going to do with 190 kids while we dismantle this thing and try to put it back together? We have been told that anytime we're going to touch, it's a 20% rule, we know about it. Anytime you're getting into the plumbing at more than 20% below the floor now requires all the codes to be brought up to code. So where there are added additions figured for that, because we could take up classroom space, but at the same time they're already out of classroom space. So were there additions figured for adding some of these things? No, there was not. Okay. Was there a temporary school figured, for, relocating the kids because we really can't relocate them in other areas? No, there was not. So it really started to ask a lot of questions. And what it came down to for me was we essentially were shown a 5-year plan, not a 50-year plan. And I would think as taxpayers, if we're going to do this and spend a lot of money, that we would want something, long term, and not, 5 years down the road, we got to spend millions and millions of more dollars to go below the floor instead of patchwork above. So for me, it really came down to, I have a really good inkling that we're going to spend, if not more, really close to the same amount of money to renovate, and long term have more added costs in the future. The air conditioning system, none of the schools were built for air conditioning. I looked at the manufacturer on that and kind of looked at what they were. They're mini splits, they're very complex systems, commercial mini split systems, and I'm fortunate enough to work with one of those manufacturers. So I asked one of their engineers, I said, hey, if you had this in front of you, what would you think? And he says, I wouldn't do it. I said, okay, give me the reasons for that, so that I can relay that on. He said, well, for one, they're very complex. When they're perfect, they're great. When they're not perfect, they're problems. The problem is when you have a problem, all that tech support has to come out of Chicago. So it's not, hey, call us up, we can be there tomorrow and take a look at it. It's, you're on the list and we might be there in a couple weeks or 3 weeks or whatever it might be. obviously the added cost of coming out of Chicago, all these sorts of things just were not really thought about. So the fear is that we spend a bunch of money on renovating that exceeds what it would cost to just go new and consolidate. Taxes go up. Obviously, if we spend more money than what we're looking at here, they have, you know, adjusted the levies and stuff to make sure our taxes don't go up. So that's my honest opinion on it, just working in the schools. And for me, it was that cascade effect of cost that I think, you know, the general public really wasn't made aware of early, which is kind of frustrating. But at the end of the day, it's pretty black and white. So I'm going to support the referendum for that reason, and I believe that that's the right decision that needs to be made. I'm Beau Popejoy, and I stand behind Prairie Central.